So I'm not crying.
For a company called You Incorporated, your job is, of course, to manage the company's money. If you managed You Incorporated's money the way you manage your own money now, well, would you fire you? Don't answer that. You have to tell your money what to do, or it will leave you and go to someone else. A written budget for the month is your money goal. People who win at anything have written goals. Goals are what you are aiming at. Zig Ziglar says, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. Your money won't behave unless you tame it. Your budget is it's the whip in the chair that makes the money behave. You have to be intentional with it. You can't get your head, you can't operate with your head in the sand. You know, you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, so why do you spend your lifetime income of over $2 million without a plan? Well, there's too much month left at the end of your money. Well, it's because your budget doesn't exist or it isn't working. A study of Harvard graduates found that after 2 years, 3% who had written goals achieved more financially than the other 97% combined. You got to do it on paper on purpose before the month begins. Your budget is a written goal for your money. You need to set up a budget every single month. Don't try to have the perfect budget from the perfect month from heaven, because you never get one of those. Spend every dollar on paper before the month begins. Give every dollar of your income a name before the month begins. This is called zero-based budgeting. Income minus outgo equals exactly zero every month. Look at this month's income, at this month's bills, savings, and debts, and match them up until you've given every income dollar an outgo name. If you have irregular income because you're in sales or you own your own business or something like that, well, we have a planning sheet for you in the Total Money Makeover workbook. And if you get paid on commission, you're self-employed, all that kind of stuff, it works for every bit of that. It's called the Irregular Income Planning Sheet. You still must do a written budget before the month begins. No one gets out. You got to manage money for You Incorporated. If you're married, you and your spouse need to agree on it, and well, sometimes that's the hardest part. If you aren't working together, it's almost impossible to win. If something comes up in the middle of the month that causes the budget to need changing, call an emergency budget committee meeting. You Incorporated, we're going to have a meeting. Talk it through, adjust what needs to adjust. The Wall Street Journal reports that more than 70% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. So you got to break the cycle, change your family tree, live on less than you make, save for rainy days, live like no one else so later you can live like no one else. One of my favorite older movies is the comedy What About Bob, starring Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss. The therapist in the movie, Dreyfuss, had written a book called Baby Steps. And the framework for the movie is this statement: you can get anywhere if you simply go one step at a time. You know, I believe that's true for walking the path to financial freedom as well as many other areas of success in our lives. You've got to walk before you run. You need a starting point in your financial fitness program. If you try to do everything at once, you'll revert back to your old ways of handling money. You'll give up. You can't do 63 things at once. But if you use the baby steps in the Total Money Makeover workbook, do one before you do two. That's why we called it one. Then you'll start to see progress and ultimately change your whole family tree. We start with baby step number one by breaking your current financial cycle. We want you quickly to save $1,000 cash in a starter beginner emergency fund. Remember, it is going to rain. You need a rainy day fund. You need an emergency fund. Grandma called it a rainy day fund. Money Magazine says 78% of us will have a major negative financial event in any given 10-year period of time. Your job could be downsized, or you could just plain get fired. There's an unexpected pregnancy, the car blows up, or you bury a loved one. A grown child moves back home again. Life happens. You got to be ready. This is not a surprise. You need an emergency fund. You need an emergency fund. It's going to rain. Sometimes people say, Dave, you need to be positive. I'm positive. It's going to rain. Now, this little bitty $1,000 is not going to catch the big things, but it'll catch the little ones until you're debt-free and you get your emergency fund fully loaded. Most of America, most of North America uses credit cards to catch all of life's little emergencies. And, well, Christmas is not an emergency. Your car will need repairs. That shouldn't be an unexpected event. Your kids will outgrow their clothes. No kidding. These items belong in your budget. And if you don't plan for them, they're going to feel like an emergency. To save $1,000, you have to twist and wring out your budget. Work extra hours, sell something, have garage sales. Quickly get your $1,000. The most you should do, hit this step, mostly no more than a month. And listen, if you make more than $20,000 a year, household income, make it $500. Do something radical. Deliver pizzas, work part-time, sell something, have a yard sale, sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. Get crazy. You're way too close to the edge of the money cliff to make any excuses. You've got to get crazy here. Remember the Joneses? These are all the broke people you think are cool. Well, they're probably heading the wrong way. And if you think you're crazy, well, if they think you're crazy, you're probably right on the right track. Once you've got $1,000 in your starter emergency fund, now it's time to get rid of your debt. The way we attack the debt, we call it the debt snowball. This will take a truckload of effort. You got to get intense. Personal finance is 80% behavior. It's only 20% head knowledge. The debt snowball is designed to modify your behavior with money. Being a certified nerd, I used to start with making the math work. I've learned that the math does not need to work as much as you got to have the motivation. Motivation's more important than math. This is one of those times. In the debt snowball method, what you do is you list all your debts, smallest to largest. You pay minimum payments on everything but the little one, and you attack the little one with a vengeance. This is the way you got to do it. Hey, listen, even those loans from mom and dad or medical debts that have zero interest, I don't care if there's any interest. You got to get out of debt. And what we're going to do is knock out the smallest one. Because when you knock out that smallest one, you have this sense of, hey, I won. I knocked it out. I'm killing it. And that's what you got to have. You got to get fired up. And so when you knock off the little one, it's kind of like going on a diet and losing weight. So again, with the debt snowball, what we're going to do is we're going to list the debts smallest to largest, regardless of interest rate. Squeeze every dollar out of your budget. You're not saving money anywhere, and you just attack on that smallest debt. When that smallest debt is gone, then you take all the money you can find from anywhere else in your budget, including the payment you used to pay on number one. The snowball rolls over again. It picks up more snow, and you attack number two. And you just go right down the list like that. Now, why don't we go highest interest rate to smallest interest rate, Dave? That'd be mathematically correct. Darling, if we were doing math, you wouldn't have credit card debt. So think. This is modifying behavior. This is about the deal where you absolutely have to control and modify your behavior. That's the deal. You got to get fired up. And when you get the first one, you'll get excited. When you knock off the second one, you get a little bit more excited. By the time you've knocked off 4 or 5, you're going to get so intense, you're going to have such blinders on that you're going to have the emotional passion to change your family tree. This stuff works. Pay off everything but your house in baby step 2 using the debt snowball. All right, let's review. Baby step 1, $1,000 cash in the bank. Starter beginner emergency fund. Baby step 2 is going to take you 12, 18 months, maybe 24 months. Some of you a little bit longer, some of you a little bit faster. And that's paying off all your debt except your house using the debt snowball, listing the debts smallest to largest, working them off in that order. Once you're out of debt, you don't have any payments but a house payment. Can you say wow? Everybody with me say wow. That's pretty incredible. At that point, what are you going to do? Well, now we don't have any payments but a house payment. We can really save some money. Let's go back to this $1,000 account, and baby step 3 is finish the emergency fund. A fully funded, properly funded grandma's rainy day fund is 3 to 6 months of expenses. 3 to 6 months of expenses. And that's what you need to save in cash. This is not a I want to go fishing fund. This is not a I want to buy a leather couch fund. This is not a I forgot Christmas was in December fund. This is an emergency fund. You only touch this for emergencies. Kids growing and Christmas and cars breaking are expected events. They are not unexpected events. You know these are going to happen, so you've got to be ready. That's in a budget item. Over in the emergency fund, this is just to keep Murphy. You know, if it can go wrong, it will. We got to keep Murphy away from the house, and that's what we're doing. So simple. 3 to 6 months of expenses set over here, not mixed with your other savings, not mixed in your checking. It's not in stock. It's in something liquid and simple like a money market account, a completely separate account. That way you never touch it for any reason ever except for emergencies. Now breathe with me for a second. What if you had no payments but a house payment and $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 representing 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside? Wow, those first 3 baby steps will rock your world. You know, God said it real simple. He said, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. Wise people save money. All right, we've done the first 3 baby steps. Again, review. Baby step 1's $1,000 cash in the bank before you do anything. Baby step 2 is we get out of debt, everything but the house, using the debt snowball, working our debts off smallest to largest in that order. And then and only then do we start saving money again, and we go on to baby step 3 and have a fully funded emergency fund. Now, have you noticed that all this time we were not saving for retirement or kids' college? No, I'm not saving for retirement. We're going to die. Some of you big savers, big investors have been freaking out. It's okay. Listen, we're going to get to the investing, but the problem is if you try to do the investing before you do these other 3 baby steps, emergencies will take out your retirement savings, and debt will eat up your income and take away your ability to aggressively save for retirement. So now here we sit after the first 3 baby steps with no payments, and we've got that emergency fund, rainy day fund buffer between us and life. Now we can do our investing well. We can do it right. And what we suggest you invest in is your retirement at a level of 15%. Now, I don't suggest you put more than 15% of your income into retirement at this stage of the game. At this stage of the game, I want you to limit it to 15. You easily can do 15%, though, if you have no payments but a house payment. Hello, you're ready to go. This is going to work for you. So, what are we going to do? 15% of our income into retirement. And I'm going to stop it there. I'm not going to do any more than that right now. Now, what I use are good growth stock mutual funds with long track records. I spread it across 4 types: growth and income, aggressive growth, international, and a regular growth fund. And I put 25% of my retirement in each of those 4 in good mutual funds with long track records. So now, again, baby step 4, now and only now do we start, or do we resume, because we've temporarily stopped it, our retirement savings, our retirement investing. And if you don't invest for retirement, you will retire and have to order that cookbook, 72 Ways to Prepare Alpo, and love it. Don't miss out on your long-term investing. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. Okay, we're continuing our journey along the baby steps. Baby step 1, $1,000 cash in the bank. You get started with your starter emergency fund. Baby step 2, we're going to pay off all of our debts using the debt snowball, working the debts off smallest to largest, very intense, very focused, very passionate. Baby step 3 is we take the $1,000 account, we finish it. We raise it up to a fully funded emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses. Then and only then do we start our long-term investing. We've already covered baby step 4. That's 15% of your income going into retirement. Now, while you're doing baby step 4, now we're going to move on to baby step 5. The reason I limited it to 15% of your income going into retirement is because we need to be able to do baby steps 5 and 6. Baby step 5 is we're going to invest for college now. And now we're thinking, okay, you've got small children or you've got medium-sized kids, and we're doing the long-term investing for college. Now, if your kids are almost in college, they're grown and gone, or you don't have kids, you don't have to worry about this baby step because you're just there. You're facing it right now. But what the deal is, with the smaller kids, you want to start investing so you can pay cash when they go to school. We do not want the student loan burden on your family ever again. Remember, we're trying to break the cycle. We're trying to change your whole family tree. So, rules of college: pay cash. Go to a college you can afford. Hey, champagne taste and beer pocketbook won't cut it. You go where you can pay to go. That's it. Get the knowledge. Don't get the pedigree. Get the knowledge. That's what you're after. Go get the knowledge and pay cash as you go. Don't let your kiddos come out of college heavily burdened with debt, hoping and praying that someone will give them a big pile of money since they were so smart to go to such and such a school. Dumb idea. There's a lot of broke people running around in North America that had that concept for college planning. Pay cash, save, invest for college at baby step 5 where it applies. Now, in some cases, you can't afford to pay for college because your kids are already grown. Well, you can teach them the work. W-O-R-K, surefire money-making scheme. It'll be good for them. The diligent prosper. Okay, we've been walking our way through the baby steps. Let's review them one more time. Baby step 1 is $1,000 cash in the bank, right quick. Do that in about a month. 12 to 18, maybe 24 months, you get really intense and focused, and you knock off all your debt in baby step 2 using the debt snowball, paying off your debts smallest to largest. Baby step 3 is you go back to this $1,000 account, raise it up to 3 to 6 months of expenses. You're set aside there just for emergencies, grandma's rainy day fund. Then we move on to baby step 4, and that's 15% of your income going into retirement. We've already covered that. Baby step 5, we start saving for kids' college. We're doing 4, 5, and 6. Today's baby step, all at the same time. Baby step 6 is pay off the house early. Now, Canadians are really good about paying off their house early. It's kind of a tradition. Canadians have been a little bit more fiscally conservative than some of us in America. Yeah, in the U.S., we tend to stay deeply in debt, more so, but in the last few generations or so, that's been slipping away. So let's put the reminder out there. It's a good thing to have a paid-for house. As a matter of fact, it is a great thing to have a paid-for house, because then, well, I'll tell you why. I've done detailed research, in-depth research, and we have discovered that 100% of the foreclosures occur on homes with mortgages. The borrower is slave to the lender. Get your house paid off. Now, with most folks working this program, the whole program, including paying off their home, is taking them about 7 or 8 years. Lots of people doing it in that year of Jubilee, that 7th year. Pretty cool stuff. Some people doing it earlier than that too, so I give you permission to pay it off early. So any other money above our 15% going into retirement, above saving for kids' college, any other money that comes to us, we're dumping it on the home mortgage and knocking out the home mortgage as fast as possible. Can you imagine how wealthy you would become and how fast you would become wealthy if you had no home mortgage? Oh, I got to tell you, it's awesome. As soon as you pay off your mortgage, take off your shoes, walk through the backyard, the grass feels different under your feet. Let's review again. We're covering our baby steps from the Total Money Makeover workbook. In this whole series, we've gone through baby step 1, $1,000 cash in the bank as fast as you can. Baby step 2, the debt snowball, where you list your debts smallest to largest, attack with a vengeance on the smallest one, work them off in that order. Then and only then do we go back to this $1,000 account, raise it up to a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. And baby step 4 then, or 3 then, finish the emergency fund, a fully funded emergency fund. Baby step 4, 15% of your income going into retirement. Baby step 5, kids' college. And 6, we covered last time, where we pay off the house early. Gosh, there's no baby steps left except number 7. Baby step 7 is become very wealthy and give a bunch of it away. Giving will change your life. Giving will light you up. It'll put you in a different position than you have ever been in before. So don't miss it. You got to check this out, folks. I'm telling you, if you get out of debt, if you don't have a house payment, you start paying yourself a house payment, you start fully funding all your retirement, your kids' college is done, emergencies are done, there's no debt payments. Your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. And so here's the deal. You got to get control of your income. When you get out of debt, you totally are in control of your life then. You're in a position to go to places you've never been before financially. So what you've got to do is get this house paid off and then build wealth and give. As you build that wealth, always be a giver. Always be automatically tithing to your local church and giving to other ministries and finding individuals who need your help. Build wealth and give. Remember, God owns it all. You're just a manager. In ground Christian circles, we say you're a steward, which is just an old English term that means manager. You're a manager for God. What's God want you to do with His money? Well, He wants you to take care of your family. He wants you to have a good life because you're a king's kid and He loves you. And He wants you to give a bunch of it away, too, to people who need it. He's got His children out there who need some help. It's that simple. So, build wealth and give. Baby step 7. "20 years ago, when my wife and I went broke, I went out on a search to learn how money really works. And I talked to old rich people, people with no hair and gray hair that had money and had kept it. I didn't want to talk to young rich people. I had been him. I made a lot of money and lost it all. I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to talk to someone who had a proven track record and knew what it took to win. As I did that, and as a Christian, I started studying Larry Burkett and Ron Blue and many other Christian writers. on what the Bible had to say about money, I discovered these common sense principles. I've applied those common sense principles to my life and have led millions of others of people across North America into those same common sense principles to great success. People are becoming debt-free, marriages are being saved by couples learning to communicate over money, and people are then becoming very, very wealthy. It works. God's ways of handling money work. Common sense works. The disturbing thing about this whole process, though, was I kept looking for the secrets of the rich. Have you ever seen those books that are out there and those shows that are out there? You need to learn the secrets of the rich. The rich have special corporations. The rich have special tax breaks. The rich have special knowledge that no one else has. You know what I found out? That's a lie. The rich know the same things that you and I know. The only difference is they do it. If you will figure out what rich people are doing and do rich people stuff, you become rich people. If you do what poor people are doing, guess what you'll become? Poor people. You know what rich people do? They live on less than they make. The Bible says a foolish man devours all he has. They get on a budget. Jesus said don't build a tower without first counting the cost. A written budget where you manage money for you. There's a plan. They get out of debt. The borrower is slave to the lender. When you don't have any payments, it's very easy to become wealthy. See, these are very easy concepts. They save money for emergencies, for purchases, and for long-term investing. And when they do that, guess what happens? Wow, they end up retiring wealthy. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. Biblical finance is easy. It's common sense to understand, but it's very hard to do because it's about you controlling you. That is the secret of the rich. No one likes pain. If you engage in pain on purpose for a thrill, you're psycho. You're sick. Okay? So I would never tell you to sacrifice just for the fun of sacrificing. I don't want to sacrifice unless it's to win. I don't want to get up and run my 5 miles in the morning unless it's to get a better time the next time I run a half marathon. I don't want to, work out unless I'm getting some results from it. I don't want to push back from those great cookies unless there's a reason. No one likes to sacrifice unless you get to win as a result of sacrificing. We teach people with money the only way to win with money is live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. You got to pay a price to win. You got to get out of debt and sacrifice and live on nothing, on beans and rice and beans. Get on a written plan. Your broke friends are making fun of you. It's your only chance to change your life. And that will change your life. It'll change your life and the life of your kids. You will literally change your family tree. But only if you sacrifice. This is one of the secrets of the rich. You have to live like no one else. You have to pay a price so that later you get to live like no one else. If you'll drive like no one else, later you get to drive like no one else. If you'll dress like no one else, later you get to dress like no one else. Think about it. That's how it works. If you eat like no one else, later you get to eat like no one else. Hey, this is how it works in life. And there's no exception to this rule. You do not get to circumvent this rule. And guess what? You're going to pay a price anyway. If you live beyond your means and never sacrifice to get out of debt and never learn to budget and never learn to save money, you're going to live a life of mediocrity, and the price that you're going to pay then is a life of mediocrity. Instead, you got the chance to be better than average, above average. And what you do is you bust it, you kill it for a short period of time. I mean, for 2 or 3 or 4 years, you just go bananas. You go get the house paid off, get the kids' college fund behind you. Then there's nothing left to do with all that stuff done except pile up money, become very wealthy, and give a bunch of it away. But you will not win with money, or for that matter at anything in life, until you learn to sacrifice. The Bible says no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but it yields a harvest of righteousness. It's not fun when you're doing it, but it works. Live like no one else. So later, you get the opportunity to live like no one else.
So I'm not crying.